This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hour number 2 underway, 8 a.m. Friday, June 26th, right here on Jocks. We talked to LSU's roster against some other teams in the SEC. One of those teams that we feel like they are not going to be ahead of, both with roster and with what they actually accomplished this season, are the Georgia Bulldogs. Going to take a different spin on Georgia here in just a moment. First, I'll tell you about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group. If you are looking for a new home in Central Alabama, it has got to be the Gusty Goulas Group. Why? Well, they serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. You can trust Gusty's aggressive and proven selling system. He's got what it takes to attract hundreds of qualified buyers that want your home. Gusty has over 850 5-star Google reviews. Search it for yourself today. Gusty Goulas Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Go to GustyGoulasGroup.com. You'll see a button at the top right-hand corner of the page. Smash that button. Very little information. They're going to be able to tell you what they think they can get for your home today. 205-542-1996. 205-542-1996 today, or go to GustyGoulasGroup.com and start packing. Okay, James Colgan joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. James has an interesting article up about the Georgia Bulldogs, but you probably know James's name because he's joined us on the show before to discuss golf. Why is a golf course a massive part of the Georgia offseason and what's happening in Athens, James?
Oh man, Cole, it's a loaded question. It's what I've spent the last couple of months of my life trying to figure out. A couple of months ago, I got a phone call from a mutual friend who said, "Hey, I got a story for you down in Athens, Georgia." I said, "Sure, what's up? What's going on?" And he said, "There's a golf course that's being built about 15 minutes away from campus at UGA that is existing as its own private club. It's a brand new course being built by these two brothers who are real estate developers. But here's the hook: they're trying to kind of put this thing together as a way to assist some of the recruiting efforts of the university. The kind of underlying effort here is not just to have a great golf club, not just to have an awesome, place for people to come back to, but also to have a place where, alumni and boosters and members of the current football program can come in to assist with the efforts of the team, can have a place to congregate during game day weekends and have a place to come together when recruits are being visited. And so there's this really, really interesting story here of this brand new golf club. It's called The Rose. It's just opened in Athens, and it's existing not just as a private golf club, but also as a tool to kind of help the football team reach some new heights here for the university, which is super fascinating.
So give us like the details on the club, like 18-hole course. Is there anything else like pool, tennis going with it, like clubhouse, places to stay? Like what are we talking about here?
Oh man, it's whole run. So there's a downtown club first and foremost. There's a space that exists just a few blocks away from the university that's located right on a street corner, kind of on the main drag there in Athens, where people can go to get drinks. They can hang out. There's a full restaurant. There's a bar. There's just places to generally hang out. And then down the road at the golf course, there's a massive clubhouse that's still in the final stages of being built now. There's a pool attached to the clubhouse as well. And then there's going to be a place for people, a retreat is what they're calling it, for members who are coming in from out of town to stay while they are in attendance to play the golf course and hang out at the club. And then, of course, there's the crown jewel, which is the golf course itself. It's an 18-hole course. It was designed by this architect named Tripp Davis, who is not like a huge name in the golf course architecture world, but is definitely a rising star. And effectively what the two brothers who built this golf course said when they went to the golf course architect is, "Hey, we want you to make the course that will define your career here. However much money it costs, whatever the effort takes, like that is what we want." And so the result that they have is really this high-end golf course. I was lucky to play it a couple weeks ago and really see it up close. And I mean, it's freaking hard, let me tell you. But I think part of the goal is that they want a place that can not just be a really great course for the members, but also could maybe be a prestigious course, prestigious enough to host a USGA event or a really serious golf tournament. That's obviously, a little bit further down the line. But yeah, 18-hole golf course, clubhouse, downtown club, the whole 9 yards there for the membership of the new club.
I think the craziest part about this is if you go to some of these college towns, which you have, and they're all exploding, be it Starkville, Auburn, Oxford, Athens. Athens, I think, has been a little bit ahead of the curve, kind of there with Gainesville, Baton Rouge. But like to be able to find the space to do this, number one, that close to campus is what's really surprising. How are they able to pull that part off?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think honestly, the thing that originally drew me to this story is that it feels like a small thing that speaks to a much bigger thing, right? Like there's this massive moment happening in college athletics with NIL and with just the proliferation of really the business of college football that is super interesting, right? It's changing the way that we enjoy the sport that we all love. I'm a huge college football fan. Like, it's altering the way that we perceive college football. And yet there are all of these small things that are happening on the periphery that don't look like they're massive developments, but are actually affecting teams' win and loss records year by year. And so when I heard about this and I heard about, the goal of it, I was really interested to kind of try to speak to some of the people involved with UGA football and ask them, hey, what is going on with the Bulldogs? Like, how do they benefit as a result of having this, this club existing? And I was able to talk to two of the members of the club, Kirby Smart and Matt Stafford, obviously two big names in Georgia football. And I asked them both this question, like, what's the bigger picture here? How is this helping out? And, as Kirby said to me, like, this is, but, as like business happens on the golf course. Like, that's where people come together. That's an opportunity, not just for Kirby, but for his staff to meet with new people, to talk with new people, and to figure out, okay, what are we going to do to advance the cause of Georgia football here in Athens? And I think we're seeing this in the way that these new facilities are being built across the SEC particularly, but really across all of college football. And we're seeing it in the form of, all of these massive new funds that exist to help attract new recruits and new talent to the universities. As far as the actual land is concerned, it was a fairly simple thing. The two brothers, the Cassinis, who built this golf course, are both real estate developers, and they're both golf diehards. Nick Cassini actually is a pretty legendary Bulldog golfer. He has the fourth best scoring average of any player in Georgia golf history. And so they kind of knew what they were looking for when it came to a golf course. They had an idea that they wanted to give back to their kind of home community. The Athens, town had really adopted the Cassinis when they were just teenagers. And so when they decided to, build this thing, they kind of just went looking for a good parcel of land. And that's something that they knew pretty well from their jobs. And so they found this place that was hanging just over the county line. And it had a beautiful, beautiful like stretch of land. There was wheat was being grown on the property. So it actually looked like a golf course already because of the way that things were growing in on the land and whatnot. So basically, as the brothers explained it to me, they showed up and they've been looking for more than a year for a place to build. They walked on this property, and within an hour they had submitted the bid to buy it because they just knew that it was going to be a great venue for a golf course. So it's one of those funny things where when you're involved in the golf world, you learn these things. You see how these crazy pieces of land can suddenly become a golf course. That was certainly the case in the instance of the Rose. Okay,
so here I guess is the real question that a lot of people may be interested in. We're talking to James Colgan on the Higginbotham Hotline. You can find his work at golf.com. Entry. How do you become a part of this?
Well, I think the brothers would tell you that the best way to become part of it is to be a great golfer and to have some sort of commitment to to the Rose as a, or to the area of Athens rather as generally an attraction. The brothers have built the structure of the club, so it's membership by invitation only, and invitation comes by referral from other members. So the way that they have been sort of operating is they are attracting the attention of, the best people in the golf world, in the Georgia world, the University of Georgia world, and of course in the Athens world. And they're trying to attract all of those people to kind of just come in and see what the club is about. And then from there, I think they're kind of using referrals to figure out their way in. But if you wanted to get a tee time out there, if you wanted to just check out the golf course, I would say if you've got some buddies in the Athens area, odds are pretty good. It's a small town. Everybody knows everybody when it comes to that. I think that would be the best way out.
Is there like a direct tie with Georgia football, former players, things of that nature, that is either going to get you on the course or get you in the club, something along those lines?
Yeah, I think there's no formal path between the two sides, but I mean the history of Georgia football is tied so closely with golf. The practice field is called the House of Payne, and that's for Billy Payne, who was the Augusta National chairman for 20 years. This is a football program that has had a long connection to the sport. And as far as the actual connection, I mean, there are plenty of former Georgia football players and current, staff and administration who are involved with the new club. So that is one very easy way out. But I'm sure that there will be other ways for people to work their way through. I mean, just talking with the Cassinis about their efforts, like their hopes are that this will be a meeting spot for people involved with the program and people who are passionate about the program. But they talked with both of them and asked how much of this is about the couple Saturdays a year when you've got, football games in Athens, and how much of it is about all the other time when, there aren't football games, but people might want to go to Athens. And what they said to me is like the number one thing that we thought about as we were building this course and just, thinking about building this course is how it would look on Saturday mornings in the fall, right before a noon kickoff or an 8 p.m. kickoff, how they could keep things going during these big football weeks to make it so that there is an additive thing to the university that would make people want to fly down, want to come back to Athens, or if they're not from Athens originally, don't have a connection to the area, would make them want to go to Athens for a football game. And I could say, at the very least, from my own experience, as someone who had never been to Athens prior to reporting this story, I certainly understand the allure now. I mean, I'm dying to go to a Dogs game after checking all that out.
It's a cool town. The article up now, Inside Georgia Football, Surprising New Secret Weapon. James Colgan, golf.com, joining us to discuss it. It's really cool. And golf has become overlapped with football in a lot of different ways. So especially in that state, we know how important golf is and how many football fans are also golf fans. But the good news for the Cassinis, James, is Georgia ain't going to have a lot of noon kickoffs. So they'll be able to get a lot of those tee times jammed in before the Dogs play later in the day.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Thanks for joining us. It's a cool article. It really is. And I appreciate you taking some time to discuss it with us.
Cole, you're the man. And hey, just thinking about you, I've had dogs my entire life. I was born and raised with a big 90-pound yellow lab. So just thinking about you. Hope the family's doing well.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. James Colgan joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, golf.com. Well, we'll share that article from the Mac and Cube account where you can go check that out and go see it. But it is cool to think about. I mean, you got Matt Stafford coming back to play it already. You got Kirby Smart playing over there. Like that's going to be a destination of its own. And then they'll find ways for that to assist the Georgia football team to be able to now have that there. But a little bit of a different spin on what's happening with Kirby Smart, what's happening in Athens, what's happening with Georgia. Let's talk a little bit more about them, what they really could be, the ceiling, maybe the floor for Georgia football. We'll do that next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and Three-Man Front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8/17, Friday, June 26, right here on Jocks. If I gave you any opportunity, John, to go with one of the non-football topics we've brought up for the show this week, which one would you want to go with next after we talk Georgia football? I would like to tee the people up on it. By the way, there's a reunion coming that we need to discuss as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But also could be summertime, things you have to do in the summer. We already did card games.
Yeah. I think let's do the one thing you have to do during summer vacation.
Okay.
Because
vacation, like meaning all of summer, like time off?
Doesn't have to be like if you,
not your vacation you take during summer break.
Yeah, something you have to do between basically Memorial Day and when your kids go back to school.
Okay, something you have to do for summer break. We'll discuss that. There also is a reunion coming up that we need to discuss. But first, we'll talk Georgia football because James Colgan just joined us on the other side to talk about a new golf course, a new golf club that's opening in Athens, and how that could sort of help Kirby Smart and his Georgia football team. What will the Georgia football team be this fall? Where should they be viewed as in the top 5, top 10, top 2, whatever that is? I am a little bit further ahead, I think, of Georgia than some other people. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. The continuity that we talked about a little bit earlier with LSU, that should not be much of an issue with Georgia. And I think one of the things that people give pause with when they talk about Georgia and maybe their ceiling is wide receiver. And I think part of that is how great so many teams have been at that position that have been good in the playoffs or winning national championships over the last few years. When you think about the teams that are getting in the playoffs, the teams that are going to win in playoff games, they have been mostly elite, if not really dang good at wide receiver. And I know that there weren't super high draft picks on that Indiana team the last 2 years, but there were draft picks, and they're guys that are really good at their position. Maybe just a smidge too short, maybe not perfect stature, but they can freaking play. Like Elijah Sherrod maybe doesn't run the 40 you need, but dude's going to catch the football. Very good college wide receivers. And I just think people look at Georgia's group and say, well, if you're going to be that good, you better have that group. And they don't think Georgia has necessarily that group right now. We've been talking about London Humphreys for years. Now, I don't know what has kept him out of the lineup, kept him from targets, whatever that is, but the kid can play. Isaiah Canyon, obviously transfer in, I think has a chance to be somebody who can help him. But part of this is you got a couple of tight ends I think are going to be really good. We know what Lawson Lucky is, what Lawson Lucky can be, but you got a couple of younger tight ends that have a chance to burst on the scene and make them very different formationally and very different from a personnel grouping standpoint. They could really stress defenses. You have 2 running backs that could be really good. Another one coming in that's going to be able to help that's played SEC football. You have a quarterback that adds mobility, brings toughness, can utilize his legs, that improved immensely across the course of last season. And I don't care where he stacks up against Dante Moore or Arch Manning as it pertains to the NFL draft. I don't care. We are talking about college football and winning college football games, and Gunnar Stockton is a winner, and Gunnar Stockton, in my opinion, is a great college quarterback. Now, you put him as year 2, technically as a starter in the offense, the same offense, by the way. We expect no more jumps, no more leaps, no more improvement. I would anticipate that going into this year, you're going to get more improvement from Gunnar Stockton. Now, what the percentage of improvement is going to be will largely determine where Georgia ends up. But the thing that I really like is the defense. And I get it. We can go back to some of those great Alabama defenses, LSU defenses, A&M defenses, Georgia defenses that we've seen. Maybe the amount of proven commodities is not there. Okay. Totally fair. But we had David Pollock earlier this week. He brought up Elijah Griffin. The flashes have been there from Elijah Griffin. Jordan Hall is a super solid player inside. Xavier McLeod flashes inside for that defense. Gabe Harris gives you versatility up front. D tackle, D end, stand up, just toughness. A guy you want inside your facility. Now, you take a Quintavious Johnson on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage. Chris Cole blitzing off the edge, blitzing up the middle, off the ball. Raylan Wilson can freaking run. He can do all the different things you need your off-the-ball linebackers to do. But here's the part that I think people are sort of leaving out a little bit. Ellis Robinson's probably the best corner in the SEC, if not one of the best corners in college football. You put him with KJ Bolden, a couple other vets in that secondary, they're going to be able to cover up a lot. And they're going to allow that front to do a lot of different things. So just because you don't have some of the known dominant commodities at different places like maybe we've seen before, I don't think should allow you to subtract what Georgia most likely is going to be. And if you're going to hedge your bet on a defense in this league being good, Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann and company, Travaris Robinson, probably some guys I'd be willing to hedge my bet on. If you're going to push your chips to the middle of the table and those are the guys you're betting on, that's a much safer bet than at a lot of other places. Much safer bet. So culture, been there, been building. Attitude, demeanor, already known. They got toughness. You're not questioning that. How many teams have Greg and I sat here over the last 2 months since the season's ended, whatever it's been, 4 or 5 months, and said, well, they're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to be able to beat you up. They're going to be able to hurt you. Can they bang? Are they rugged? We've asked that about a lot of teams, and there's a lot of them that will admit openly right now, we do not know. If they are, could be scary. The team that everyone's talking about, because it ain't Georgia, by the way. They're not the one that everybody's talking about in the SEC. They're not. The team in the SEC, what is the main question that we've had with them for 2 years? How rugged are you? Do you welcome a street fight? What happens when the rule book gets thrown out, so to speak? You enter the steel cage match, whatever it is. Texas has been the team that we question that with. Now, it's not a massive question, and it's not saying that anybody who runs inside zone against them automatically wins the game. But the toughness is not on par with some other teams. Does that just change? And if we have a 90% confident rate that Georgia's got it and a 70 or 60% confident rate that Texas got it, why are those two teams still viewed as very different? Or maybe one's ceiling viewed as so much higher than the other. It's interesting to me. Because if I'm ranking them out right now and we're ranking SEC teams, I got Georgia ahead of Texas. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't like Texas. It doesn't mean I don't think that what Texas has can be great, can be elite. I think they can win every game. They can win all their games. But we've seen some of those letdown performances. And when the letdown performances have shown up the last 2-3 years, a lot of times it's been against a team that has said, we're about to punch, will you punch back? And the counterpunch hadn't necessarily been the same. Those blows that have been traded have not been equal. That's why I give some bigger advantages to Georgia. I just think there's a lot to like about the team. I think the offensive line is going to get figured out. You're not going to be moving the guys around near as much. Now, there's some unknowns. You need Ernest Green to be good. You need Ernest Green to be what he was 2 years ago at left tackle. But Dontrell Glover can move people. Juan Gasson can move people. Drew Bobo is a bona fide veteran at center in this league. That's another thing I talked to Kalen DeBoer about, is just how important it is to have a vet at center. Now, with him specifically, we were talking about in the middle of a quarterback competition, like to go get a guy that has 700 snaps logged in college football, that's massive. Hell, we talked about it, Saber, earlier this week when we said, what are the hardest positions to come play off the street? And people will bring up center with the fourth or fifth, but it's like, do you even know how to grip a football and give it to the quarterback?
People can barely bounce a basketball or hold a football. Expect them to throw it between their legs and then stop a dude running?
That's the blocking part is part of it. I mean, that is an aspect of it that must be done and must be accomplished. So I just think it's interesting how we have already started to slot some of these teams. Like, we brought up some maybes that we sort of put up against the LSU roster that I also want to spend some time on today. We'll do that next right here on Jocks.
The capital of the sports talk nation. This is Jocks 94.5 and JocksFM.com. Birmingham.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Talking some maybes in the SEC this upcoming season. Because when you put a couple of SEC teams up against one another, I think those maybes are going to determine a lot. Like we talked the LSU roster a little bit earlier. What teams would you immediately have ahead? I think Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, 100% we would have ahead. Then comes some of the maybes. Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, Florida would probably be the only other ones that I think are going to even qualify here. What are the determining factors going to be for those teams? You take Oklahoma. Is the offensive line going to repair itself? Is it just going to be better? I mean, honestly, I don't. You got some experience. You got some guys who have been there. But I don't think that – not all of that was just guys being banged up. Not all of that was just inserting, removing guys from the lineup. They got to get a little attitude back. Okay? That's what we just talked about with Georgia. Kind of why maybe they should be pushed a little bit ahead of some folks here. But not everybody doing that. John Mateer can go win you a game. You got to take over wide receiver, and you've upgraded that room. Now, the defense, maybe not as deep. It's going to be great. It's going to be really good. Schematically, they can beat you. Individually, they can beat you at least two levels on a consistent basis. I don't know if the secondary can just dominate you. But in different facets of how maybe they play down or play towards the line of scrimmage, I don't think they can just – I don't think Oklahoma's going to go win a bunch of games by just covering people. I don't think that's part of it, but they don't have to have that based on how they operate. So there are a lot of parts of that we would say, yeah, but balance offensively. Can they find more of that? Can they be more of that? I think that's a huge question with Oklahoma. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Text in 205-834-9450. You can also tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Alabama. Quarterback's got to be number one. And we have confidence that the ability of either guys, be it Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, they're going to be fine. Now, nobody's looking at this as a situation where you might have to play someone who just doesn't have the capabilities to be a really good SEC quarterback. That's not it. That's not it at all. That should not, most likely will not be a problem. Based on what we've seen, we haven't seen a ton. I'm not going to try to act like we have this gigantic sample size, but we've seen enough to know that whoever it is going to be pretty good. You leaning on a freshman running back? Does the offensive line get figured out? Like I told you guys earlier in the show, I was with the group of people last night, and it became a little bit of a running joke in the group of just saying, well, just run the ball. If they could run the ball, it'd be fine. Was that applicable to Oklahoma last year? You don't think they wanted to run the ball? You don't think Alabama tried to run the ball last year? Would Auburn have liked to have run the ball last year? Like, the whole just run the ball is hilarious to me. Do people really think that this just happens? Do people really think that this is just a choice from the perspective of it's just a call? Like, all I got to do is call it. Now, LSU, we removed them from this situation because they refused to even attempt to hand the football off. They are not a part of this conversation. Last year's LSU, not this year's. Lane will run the ball. Lane will hand the ball off. But it's almost like, John, we figured that this problem is so easily solved, that it can solve itself. It's just a run it. Hey, like running the football is not the clapper. Y'all got to be a little older to know what that is. Like, you don't clap it on and clap it off. It isn't. And there are also factors that are almost never discussed. Part of this with the Alabama situation last year. When Cuevas wasn't in the game, they were a different group. The running backs did not execute the way that they needed to on a large majority of the time. That can shut a play down. That can kill a play. So it's not just always offensive linemen getting beat, or guy losing inside, or a guy not wanting it, or not being tough enough. This can happen in a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways. But, John, why do you think that they're with a lot of fans, it's just, man, if they just run the ball, they're fine. And they feel like when they say that it's just so easily repaired.
Because they don't view one, they don't fully know the intricacies of football, but two, this primarily applies to Alabama fans, but I feel like it's most teams. It's that our offense can do no wrong, so if we just run the ball, the defense can't stop us, therefore why aren't we doing this? But if the defense is stopping you, it's like, well, something's going on then. Why don't we just do this? Because we then know this will work. Our offense is unstoppable, therefore, okay, we're throwing it, but they're just dropping passes. Well, just run the ball. Well, why aren't we doing that? Well, maybe there's a reason you're not running the ball.
Yeah, but just run it. And here's the thing. It does solve all your problems. Like, I know one problem is if you're going to play a 5-star freshman running back, probably not great in pass protection, right? What play do you not have to pass protect on?
Victory formation.
A run play.
Oh, that one too, yeah.
I'm just saying, just run it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that. It's not a problem at that point. And I do think Alabama has gone and found some folks that will help this part of their football team be better. Now, do I think that the offensive line collectively is more talented? I'm just going to be honest with you. No, I don't. I don't think that it's just more talented. Now, good news is that doesn't always matter. That's not always what makes a good or great offensive line. But we've talked about Kalen DeBoer going and getting a couple assistant coaches on board. And I asked him about it yesterday, and he agreed. Like, you got to get more guys that know how it's supposed to look, that can coach it individually, that have done it themselves, because the further we get down this path of college football and you go from position coach to coordinator to head coach, the further removed you get from teaching these individual things to these individual players. He referenced like how much less time Ryan Grubb spends coaching, discussing, talking about offensive line play than he did when they coached together 5 years ago. He's like, we're in a different place now. Like, he's not capable of doing those things anymore. All right, well, we got to get more guys that know how to make that look right. That can help us make that look right. And I think they're doing that. From a coaching perspective, from a player perspective, I think that's happened. And I think you will look at it, at least, I kind of look at Alabama's offensive line the way I look at Auburn in general this year. Are they going to go run for 380 a game? No. But collectively, it's going to look better. Like, it's just going to feel more acceptable. So, I mean, I had people ask me last night, like, how many games Auburn going to win? Can they win 8? Can they win 9? I'll say, listen, it doesn't matter the number. The product will look better this year. So Auburn might win 6. They might win 8. They might win 5. But the product is going to look better.
Yeah.
Like, I think you will be more satisfied with what you see with the product week in, week out. Maybe the easier way to say this, Damian, is it'll be less frustrating.
That makes sense.
And same thing with the Alabama run game. I'm going to say that it's not going to be dominant. It isn't. Because it's really hard to have a dominant run game today in college football. But it will be less frustrating, and it'll appear to be better on a more consistent basis.
So I guess the question is, could Alabama turn into a team like they had, not necessarily in years past, but if they needed to rely on the run game to close a game out, could they do it?
I think they can get to that point.
Right.
But also I think, too, people get consumed with this whole you're running for 200 a game, or is your running back averaging 150 yards a game? First off, like, part of why I wanted to go into that with Kalen DeBoer yesterday was to discuss that this is essentially who they are anyway. He has coached an offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award.
Right.
You go back and watch Ronnie Rivers at Fresno State. You watch Dylan Johnson at Washington. Like, they have run the football in the past in a successful manner. But he doesn't want to go run the ball 80% of the time. Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, they want balance.
Correct.
And if it's a 5-man box, they are going to pound you. And if it's soft coverage on the outside, they're probably going to throw it.
Yep.
And if it's a single safety and they can get a shot play off, they're probably going to take it. And so the main thing that I took away from what he told me yesterday was being able to be more selective with what plays they are able to call at certain points in time in the game. And essentially what he was saying was, we need more 2nd and 3s, 2nd and 4s, 3rd and 2s, instead of 1st and 15s, 2nd and 12s, 3rd and 9s. Because guess what you're not calling on 3rd and 9? Inside zone.
Nope.
You're not calling counter on 2nd and 12. Like, and when the defense knows that, or at least feels pretty good about that, that allows them to be something that's a lot more difficult to deal with. So that is where I think they have to get more so than just, are we playing bully ball 95% of the time?
Correct. And how much does, and we saw it at times last season, how much are they going to put on the quarterbacks to utilize their legs?
That's a fair question because you'll have more of that at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, too, that there were some times that Ty Simpson could have utilized that more himself and not from an escapability standpoint. I feel like they could have built it in a little bit more at times. I think that'll all come down to the confidence in the next guy. However this competition goes, whatever this competition is, if it's really close and they do have that full confidence in, let's just say, Austin Mack being number 2, Keelan Russell being number 2, or maybe they feel a little more confident with how Keelan Russell runs the football and Austin Mack edges him out, you go back to the 1995 Damian Craig package at Auburn where, all right, we go inside the red zone. He's going to get some snaps there.
Yeah.
Okay. 3rd and 4. We need that dynamic in the game. We'll put him in. That, one, keeps the other quarterback engaged. That, too, forces the defense to defend you differently in different points in time in the game, and they're going to spend practice time on it when the next guy comes in because it's a different, quote, set of plays.
Mm-hmm.
And, 2, if you're going to rep it that way, then the next guy's getting those reps and the first guy's getting the other reps. So it does make who you are offensively different that the defense has to go out and prepare for it that way. So I think there can actually be value doing it that way if they want to. But both those kids have the ability. Correct. I think Russell's a little more loose. I think he's a little more athletic. But Austin Mack can break you down. I think all of that will be determined on where they are on the next guy. So part of it, who wins it, who's next, and then 2, how much are they confident in, 1, if he has to just come into the game and be the guy, and then 2, if they were to give him a piece of it at certain points in time in the game situationally, make themselves a little bit different.
And also kind of looking at what he had success with at Washington, especially when Michael Penix Jr. and those guys were there, the receiving core. Do you think that, one, we know Ryan Coleman Williams had a step back last season. If he gets back into the groove of it, we saw Latzir Brooks really come on and be a reliable target.
He's going to be a good player.
And then you've got, Sadarian Morgan, a freshman with a lot of talent, a lot of ability. Do you think that he's looking – I know it's tough to see now, but do you think that he can kind of open up this offense a little bit more just because of the playmakers he has outside to actually help out in the run game when they could spread things out? And like you said, the box is light. Now we can start to ground and pound if need be.
I think the advantage you may have is that, and whether it was, I think last year it turned into Jeremy Bernard. I think they knew they had him and they wanted to use him, but it kind of turned into like, we got to go to him.
Yeah.
At times. And so therefore then you had to move him, find matchups for him, which is fine. But I think you went into the season thinking, well, it's going to be Williams, Bernard, maybe Brooks comes on, and we're not going to have to design all these things for a guy. More so of what Kalen was telling me yesterday of we're going to take what the defense gives us. And I think like people have made this mistake talking about the Auburn offense also. Who's going to lead in receiving? Who's going to be the – I don't think Alex Goles cares who leads the team in receiving. Mm-mm. I think he wants to force you to have to defend him that way of – if Damian catches 11 passes today, great. If John catches 12 tomorrow, good. If no receivers catch passes and we win the game, good. That means the backs, the tight ends, and quarterbacks run whatever it is. If that's what the defense gave us, that's what we'll take. Ultimately, I really do believe that's where they want to live.
Gotcha.
And if you can have a couple receivers step up to the point where they are reliable, don't have to be dominant, that opens everything else up. And I think that gets them to where they want to be. The thing that I'm surprised about more so than anything else is the confidence that Kalen has at tight end, because I thought that was going to be a concern for them. Now, I will say this Josh Ford kid that they're getting, I freaking love this kid. And that goes along with a couple of the coaches you're bringing in and sort of changing the mindset. Like that's a guy, I mean, you're going to be able to go back like 2 years ago now with like C.J. Dupree, Robbie Utes. Like that's the kind of individual you're getting. He's not as big as Robbie Utes, maybe not as strong. But mindset-wise, like you're getting that guy in. And so when you're talking about being able to attach somebody to the offensive line, being able to push people around, having a little bit of a mindset, like he can be that guy. His hands are reliable enough, too, to be able to help you in the passing game, and he's a bigger target. So I think he is going to end up being extremely valuable. Because like we said, when your best blocking tight end exited the game last year, you were different.
Yep.
And you got a guy that's probably a little more capable of that coming in this year. So I think collectively what you want to do, find reliable targets. He actually brought it up yesterday when we talked about all this pushing people around, toughness, whatever, negative plays, tackles for loss, and drops.
Yeah.
Think about that. We don't often talk about drops as negative plays, and we should.
Oh, yeah.
But we talk about negative plays, sacks, TFLs, fumbles, interceptions. A drop should almost be viewed exactly like those.
It is.
Especially when they're open.
Yep.
Because think about what that does when the defense sees, man, they had us and they didn't get us, and we get to adjust to that, and we didn't have to pay a price for it.
Yep.
Mentally, what it does to that receiver, mentally, what it does to that quarterback. I can tell you this, as a center, when I was blocking, we had good protection, and we ran a crosser, and that was going to pick up our first down, and we dropped it. I know where my brain was.
I can imagine.
It's not in a positive place.
I know it.
Nobody's is.
Nobody.
It's just like when a wide receiver looks and sees the left tackle get smoked and he's open. You don't think he's sitting there going, bro, we had him.
Yep.
Like here's what it is. Deflating. For everyone.
Correct.
It's deflating. And it's odd that we don't talk about drops as much of a negative play like we do those others. And I understand the end result is not as negative as those. Like it's not a 5-yard loss.
Right.
You're not fumbling the football in the backfield and an offensive lineman having to dive on it, or maybe the other team gets possession. But man, when it's there and it's right in your hands.
Oh yeah.
It almost mentally feels as or more deflating than some of those other plays we're talking about.
Yeah. It gives you kind of the same feeling as a turnover of like, man, here we go. But that, say if you're running a dig route and all of a sudden you're open at 12 yards, hits you right in the hands and you drop it. Now, instead of, reloading for another 1st and 10, you're now looking at 2nd and 10. And it's like, man, we had it right there. Especially in the RPO system too, where quarterback makes a read and he's on time and then boom, the dude drops a slant. And it's like, man, we got him. The one time we got him. Like you said, it's deflating. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yep. All right, we'll continue talking drops, negative plays. Some of these other teams that are close maybe to the top of the SEC, where do they go? Where could they not get to? Next on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, 3-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. E. Robinson tweeting in on a topic that we discussed a little bit earlier in the show, which was London Humphreys, wide receiver formerly at Vanderbilt, now at Georgia. E. Robinson played at Vanderbilt, so there may be some emotions involved here. Quote, he can really play. You sure about that, at Cole Cubelic? Emoji, face. I think he may be coming down with a case of, look how big. By the way, I would not have guessed that London Humphreys was 6'2", 200. I actually don't think that's right. That's from his Wikipedia page. 22 for 439 and 4 touchdowns, 15 for 244 and 2 touchdowns. Last year, Georgia, 18 for 276 and 3 touchdowns. I'm trying to find the other numbers, but here's the thing. He had 18 catches last year. Damien, he had 25 targets. Now, I don't have his PFF, like catchable ball rate, whatever the hell they try to come up with, but
that's a pretty nice clip.
This is not 100 targets that this dude is getting in a season. I mean,
it says reliability.
He hasn't had the opportunities, but when he's been given them, he has shown he can play. He just hadn't been throwing the football a ton. Now, we don't know all the reasons for that, and some of that may end up being problematic for him this year. But the reality is he hadn't gotten a ton of balls his direction.
But when they do throw it his direction, more times than not, he's pretty much catching it.
Yeah, I'm not backing off of that one. I think London Humphreys can play. I don't know how much you've taken a dive into watching him or paying close attention to him, but I think he can be a really good SEC wide receiver.
Yeah, I think he's reliable. He had Zachariah Branch out there. I mean, the receiver room, again, I tried to explain to y'all, it's the most selfless position on the football field. He's got to do what he needs to do, but when his number is called, he's making the most out of it.
So I think he'll help Georgia. I think he'll help Georgia this year.
Yeah.
I do. So I think that when you look at the amount of targets and then the catches with those targets, he's been pretty good. Now, we're not sitting here saying that he's, all of a sudden going to turn into Jameson Williams at Alabama.
No.
But reliability, helping you win, do different things. He can be that guy. So I'm trying to see he had 3 targets in Mississippi State game, 3 in the Kentucky game, 3 in Marshall. And so he's not getting a ton of targets. If he gets more of those, he might be able to be a little bit more successful.
Yeah.
So just like you can be a little bit more successful getting your health where it needs to be with Game Day Men's Health, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. Get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. They give you your baseline health, and then they let you know how they can help you. Not going to press you into things that you don't need. It could be peptides. It could be testosterone replacement. A holistic approach to health and wellness at Game Day Men's Health. Locker room environment, good people. They just want to help you feel better, and they've done it with so many Jocks listeners. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and see what they can do for you. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for the free consultation now open in Trustville. What would be your concern with Georgia? If we didn't want to put Georgia at the top, we wanted it to be Texas, we wanted it to be LSU. What do you think is holding people back on Georgia heading into this season?
Probably the production that you had, at least from my perspective. I think it is the receiver room, because of the fact that you had something last year that you really haven't had in a long time, with Zachariah Branch, of being able to snap the ball, throw a quick screen, and the big play potential outside, of him taking it 70 yards. Noah Thomas was good. He was a bigger body. They had Colby Young, who he kind of put me in the Nick Harbor mode of, man, if he could find the consistency, and I think we saw a good bit of that last year with him. The tight ends help, but you don't have that big play ability with like you had with Brock Bowers of years past. I think the unknown bodies that you have at these skill positions, that you're able to rely a lot of that on the run game, but I think the big play potential of the playmakers out wide is probably why
I'm
people
just telling you,
hesitate.
this Ellis Williams kid, 10 at Georgia. Go watch the Mississippi State game last year. True freshman last year, 6'7", 255, and can run. He's not getting the what about him talk heading into the season like a lot of other guys at a lot of other teams are. We know Lawson Lucky is at traditional Georgia tight end mold. Good flexibility, can do multiple things well. But I'm just telling you, number 10 gives you a completely different dynamic when he's in the game. And everything I hear about him is the physicality part is not something he shies away from. So that could be a little bit of the difference in this Georgia offense. John Bryce joins us next to talk Kentucky.
This is McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. How do I save money? Most people give you the cliche answer, stop buying avocado toast. But they're missing the point. Saving tactics usually focus on discretionary spending. If you want to actually move the needle, you have to look at your fixed costs, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment. To change these, you might have to move or sell your car, and that's why people don't do it. If you want small wins, focus on the avocado toast. But if you want meaningful change, focus on the fixed costs. Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Full Send Golf, part of the Full Send podcast.
All right, the Full Send Golf channel. I was like, let's go to the range. Then fell in love with it.
This pod is about to be crazy. I don't even know what's going to happen.
Join the party on the golf course.
You guys know how much I really, really love golf.
All right, Salim, we got 2 putts to break 80 here.
Get it there, right?
You wouldn't want it any other way, brother.
These are the ones we practice. Go.
Yeah!
Oh, let's go. 80s book. Yeah, even though it's from the Reds.
It's just like a boy's scrap.
Full Send Golf. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This isn't your average podcast.
We threw like a spontaneous party out of nowhere. It was crazy.
This is Full Send.
Drake weekend in Toronto. That's like, imagine telling me that like 10 years ago. That's yo, you're going to rip with Drake for his album launch release party in Toronto. Like, I'm not passing that up for anything.
Join the party.
She went to Met Gala. He went to the game.
What is the Met Gala?
Ridiculous. I think it's an excuse to dress up like an idiot and go to a ball.
The Full Send podcast.
Oh, we're ready.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.